So we have our special guest tonight is Sally Mullins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo! We're
sure.
gonna we're gonna play you something really fast before we bring her on. So enjoy.
Not all people who do porn were molested. Some of us are just from Florida.
Sally shows you how it's alright.
I've been fucked by so many hipsters, I'm gentrified.
Welcome, Sally Mullins, everybody. Yeah. How you doing, Sally?
Good. I like how short that trailer is.
I watched your special right now that I was doing my makeup because it was on my watch list because I remember when you had sent out the memo that you were going to be filming it, and I wanted to go and I had class and I was pissed that I missed it, and I'm like, I was pissed at myself again because I actually missed it. I'm like, this is so good. I'm so mad I didn't see it in person.
Oh, cool. Thanks for watching it, I just watched it myself, actually, like really recently. I watched it to edit it, but that's kind of different, So I watched it myself just as a viewer like 2 weeks ago for the first time. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
You did great.
It was
no, yeah.
fun. Yeah, I did it twice. I did it once on December 10th, and then I did it a second time on January 25th. And January 25th was much better. 6 weeks of rehearsal between, because we had a few technical issues with the first one, and I wasn't happy with my performance, so I wanted to redo it. And I worked really hard in that time to get it like way more, like autopilot almost. But
Well, and maybe it took that long for the weed dress to show up from Amazon, right? Or
I have so many. I have like 9 of those weed dresses, and it's a matter of like which one. I mean, I barely smoke pot, but I just love those dresses. I mean, I can show you. I've got like 8 or 9 of them. They're so cute. And I finally went with the most traditional, like the Rasta one, and it was a really good look for that special. Yeah.
That's awesome.
it went well with the background.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Red and yellow. Yeah.
I
So
like that.
one of the things I know a lot of people are going to ask, and it's definitely a curiosity that I had for a while, is what got you into stand-up comedy?
Well, I moved to LA. I have a strong theater background, have a degree in theater. I've done a lot of theater and like bad horror movies. I grew up in Florida, did a lot of theater in Florida. And I got out here, I was about 27 in LA, and I was teaching and I was missing performing, but I wasn't established as an actor in LA. And I didn't really want to do theater and go to a bunch of rehearsals. I wanted to like write and isolate and then perform sometimes. And I saw an ad in the back of the LA Weekly, which was a free an audit for Greg Dean, and he was in Santa Monica, and I went and he let me get up in front. I was the only woman in the audit, and it was like 25 guys and me, and I got them to laugh.
Wow.
And it felt so good,
Wow.
But I just saw it in the back of the LA Weekly, and I was like, well, I'm funny. I crack all my friends up. I can barely be serious as an actress. It's like hurt my acting career sometimes. Like, why don't I'd probably be good at this, but I did not grow up watching stand-up or going to stand-up or thinking I was not a fangirl. I was just like, oh, I could do this, and it might fill some of my needs to write.
That's awesome. Sally, as an expert, do I look like Florida Man?
Well, you could be in a Florida Man pageant.
Okay.
I'm not saying you'd win, but you could definitely be, in a pageant. Mm-hmm.
That may be a compliment or may not. I don't know what to take from that.
Well, when I grew up in Florida, I mean, I'm class of '86 in high school. Like, it was just the place everywhere wanted to be. Everyone wanted to be. Beautiful beaches. I mean, it wasn't like people didn't make fun of it then. Although we had crack, and I tried it, but it wasn't like this thing every day where people were just laughing at it and what happened today. I mean, we were just living life, you know? Pretty fun.
So when did you leave Florida again?
I was in my late 20s and I started stand up when I was almost 30. And yeah, I liked it right away. Like, I never took any time off from stand up. I got right into it. At the beginner level, you know, open micing, taking classes. And I got like, you know, 3 or 4 days into it, like within the first year.
Nice.
It was a good fit. Like, I married it, you know?
Yeah.
Ah.
And then, what did your parents and friends think about you going into stand-up comedy?
My parents have really never seen my stand up, but they think it's good that I'm so into it. You know, they were used to me being an actor, so nobody seemed that surprised. They were like, oh yeah, I could see you doing that, you know? Yeah, it didn't really surprise anyone. I mean, this is a nice way of saying nobody cared.
I know. I remember actually in the beginning of Sleazy Does It, you mentioned that your parents have never seen your stand up. Yeah. So
Not that I know of. When they last visited me out here, I had just started stand up, and I was like a year in, and I had done a show. I was a year in at the most, and I had done a show, and I had bombed, and I was in a bad mood, and they came and visited me over like a period of time. The holidays, there weren't any shows. No, that was the last time they were out here. And when I go home and visit my parents in Florida, like, they don't really want me going out, you know? They don't want, like, get a call from the cop or something. They just keep me home.
yeah, you can stay in here. We're a stand your ground state now. Stay here.
Do you have any crazy tour stories or anything like maybe it might have happened on the road that you can talk about, of course?
Yeah, I have not been on the road that much for a comic my age, being that I'm 21 years in the game, because pretty early on, about 5 years in, I got the gig of hosting at the Comedy Store. So I was hosting at the Comedy Store every Wednesday and every Friday. So, like, why the fuck would you go on the road, you know? The money for a comic of my level isn't that great. And I mean, my level's a little better now, but you can imagine it then when I was about 5 years in. Although, let me just tell you guys, money on the road has not gone up. And gas has gone up, and food prices have gone up. And I'm doing more time on the road now, and I'm getting paid the same as I was, like, pretty much when I first started out.
Wow.
That sucks, but it's true.
I mean, definitely good at hosting. I remember one of the first times I watched Stefan on an open mic Zoom recently. You were the host, and I will never get the phrase "Daddy's got dick jokes" out of my head after he left. That was just hilarious.
Well, I like to I got my hosting gigs at the Comedy Store because I move it along. So instead of going into bits about myself, I tend to just try and get a zinger off them, you know. And
nice.
Like, I want the laugh. Don't get me wrong, I want the laugh. Or sometimes you're there to pull it down a little bit. Sometimes if somebody just killed, you're there to, like, you know, flatten the curve. Mom's here to flatten, and then get the next person up. Because I mean, I used to host like 3-hour shows in the main room at the Comedy Store, 300 people. I mean, these were like epic, like 25 comics or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had a drinking problem. I mean, it was just a long night, you know?
Yeah.
I can't relate to any of that.
You know, I had a
Oh,
CBD gummy bear. I mean, I don't know if that counts, but I mean,
No.
no.
Mama didn't raise no quitters.
Sally, I have a question for you. And just I love your work, and you did a great hosting workshop during the Laugh Right Girl Festival, and
that
you
was
also
fun.
it was and then you were our MC for Laugh Riot Girl, and then you recently MC'd at Friday Funnies. Do you find yourself, even though I know hosting became your thing and now you're back on the road more, do you write every day?
Yeah, I don't sit down and formally write every day. To me, I call that compiling, but I think of material all the time. I text material to myself all the time, and at least twice a week, sometimes more, and a lot. I've written like 45 new minutes in quarantine.
Wow.
Like
Nice.
every few days, you've got to compile, be it on your computer or whatever. You've just got to go through your notes. Oh, I've been writing on this thing. Oh, what's in my phone.
Right.
And the things that come to me the most are when I'm running. Like I run 3 miles a couple of times a week, and I get a lot of ideas then. I got a lot of ideas on drives. I get a lot in the shower. Those are my 3 top places.
We were talking about the shower earlier. I think we all
Yeah.
like Stefan said we need like an easel. And I'm in the space of learning to compile because I realize that there are jokes everywhere. And like I open a notebook, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this bit. And so do you find that like even in writing every day and in doing hosting and at 20, a long time in the game, do you ever do open mics yourself? Like, are you like just completely like, no way?
No, I do open mics all the time. I mean, I think that by not quitting mics, that's why I've stayed in the game. I do think to stay in the game as long as I have and not have had huge success, you really have to love the writing. Like I have to write, I have to get these jokes out. And to me, comedy is just the quickest way to get it out. Because if you put it in a skit, you can't just be like blabbing jokes the whole time,
Right, right.
Yeah, comedy, you can actually be a self-absorbed asshole, and just as long as you're making people laugh. But yeah, I was running a mic at the Pig and Whistle like for almost 5 years, and it just ended a couple of years ago. So and when I ran that mic, like so many people really appreciate it and found their voice at that mic developed. And some of the club bookers were like, you're getting so much better. And all I could say is that it was running a mic, and doing like 7 to 10 minutes at the top every week and writing new stuff at that mic every week. Because you can't go into a mic with your Friday night comedy store set. That's going to feel stale. It's not going to be the same reaction. So I was like, I have no choice. I got to write about real, raw stuff from my real life. So miking is so important. Now, a lot of people with my experience level, even less experience level with me, hey, babe, they are not going to mic. No way. And I think they're missing out. But, some people don't really love the writing of it. They love the performing, but they don't write that much.
Yeah. I mean, I was recently.
I'm not judging, but that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was recently at an open mic where you opened for all of us, and then you killed, and you apologized. Maybe I shouldn't have gone on first, but however, everybody after that put their A game up more than a lot of open mics I see, because when you have someone like you come on first, everybody's like, shit, I'm going to take this seriously right now. Oh my God. And it was one of the best open mics I've been to. And I was
very inspiring.
Oh, that was good.
Very inspiring.
You know what? I just want to clear it up though, Dan. You are so sweet to say that. But when I said maybe I shouldn't have gone first, it's because I was so dirty. I was particularly dirty that night. And that's what I meant there. I was kind of like, oh man. Because some people do say that it's hard to follow someone really dirty. And that's what that was coming from,
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But you're sweet to see it another way.
You meant
Thank you.
Dan. To him, dirty jokes are the holy mecca. So you're perfect.
Yeah, he didn't see dirty.
You're like,
He didn't see the bill. Yeah, he just had a good family values tour. I get it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I was raised in a very loving suburban home, and I rejected it. So
So
I get it.
the next thing would be, do you have any advice for newly stand-up comics or people who maybe have kind of been there just about a year? Like anything that you would like to share that might, encourage them or help them or motivate them?
Yeah, I mean, take crappy gigs because you never know what you're going to come out of it. And, time with mic in hand is good. And you've also got to, I didn't hang out enough like at the Comedy Store. I was just always gigging. I was always on stage sometime. And that's why I think I missed out on a lot of sexual harassment too, because I always had something in my mouth. For anything. I had a microphone right there. I was constantly on stage and still am. So I say get the stage time, but also you better find a side hustle that you don't hate because you're probably going to be doing it for a while. It takes a while to get anywhere in this. So some of my friends, they hate their job and they're just hoping something comes through in comedy, and then you're too stressed out about your comedy. So you
Right.
got to find a way to keep a roof over your head that also gives you a little bit of nourishment emotionally.
I just want to shout out some folks in there. Jane Acala, who is
Yeah.
also, I would say, and coming to you, just big shouts out. Love Sally, amazing host, fantastic comedian, of course. And we got one of our great, what do you say, regulars? Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Ronnie Schooner is in here. Brittany Shows. Just want to shout a few people out, but like Jane and a bunch of us, as you know, Sally, have been hosted by you, and we just love you.
I saw Antonio Scarpetta as
Yes.
well.
Oh yes. Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
Antonio. Sorry.
Oh no,
Hi. Hi, Antonio.
Hey, what about
Hey,
Oh,
Antonio.
Glow?
it's all good. It's all
what?
good. It's all good.
Oh, yeah, I'm not seeing Glow today, but we really like having Glow on the show when she's
Oh
here.
yes.
Glow
Oh,
Thank
wait,
you.
she
Every-
Glow's
is.
here.
Glow's
Oh,
here.
she's there.
Sorry,
She's
Glow.
there.
I think now I think she could.
That's
Hey,
number one fan status. How dare you, Dan?
hey! I
Get
think
out.
I now her quote for "What a bastard is to me." I understand that, Glow. Sorry.
We want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming hanging out. And then uh, d- hmm. What was it like to work with David Spade on Lights Out?
well, that was fun actually. David Spade is really nice, really gracious, really sweet. He and Jeffrey Ross were very complimentary of me help being part of that show. They were like, "What a great dress! You've got jokes, the dress. You're like a bonus." Like they're like, "We didn't expect to also get this host, that was going to run the show to our liking." Like they considered me like a bonus, and they were very loving and really appreciative. And out of that show, I got a good credit, and I got so much camera time. Like I was introducing like 6 comics, and
Nice.
everyone saw me in town, and it was funny. Like some people who used to like look through me when they talked to me, they started to see me more. They started to be like, I saw you on Spade, and then they were really looking at me in my eyes then, and it was weird. But of course, I just remember the way they treated me before. But for the most part, people are very nice to me, but it will definitely like awake the fakes. Like when you have a national TV spot and you're on a national TV show, even though all I was doing was saying, "Come into the stage, give it up," people will look at you. Some people will really respond to that and be like, "You're somebody now."
Wow.
Oh wow! I can see you now. I thought it was
Yeah.
just my vision.
Right.
You know what I'm
Chew
talking about.
girl.
Right.
Wow. That's crazy, man. One little thing or one big thing, and then you're on
Right.
everybody's radar, and it's not. Sometimes it could even be you don't want that attention.
It's the like the how'd you get that factor. How'd you get that?
Right.
How'd you get that? Like, oh hey, congratulations on your commercial. Oh, thank you. How'd you get that?
Oh,
It's like, I want
jealousy.
your hookups, I want your agent. I want to know the avenue you took to get. Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Draw
You ever
me a
just
map.
make up? You ever just make up a really weird story to tell them? Well, I had to go on the new version of Double Dare, and I picked the nose and pulled the flag out, and then I ran across the balance beam, and I fell into the pudding, and now I got the job.
Totally. Yeah, I know. I wish I could have come up with stuff like that. I was more just like, well, they kind of descended on our show. Like their show sort of took over our show, but they were all really nice, and everyone working for him was really nice too.
You ever give the bitchy answer of like, well, you see, it's because I'm actually talented?
It's like, why don't you ask him that? He picked me.
Right.
That's not true. They were kind of like, we didn't know we would get something we liked as part of the deal. So thank you they were very nice. To me.
Aw.
So nice. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's you got the gig with Spade because of your time with the Comedy Store, right? Because
It was their thing was they were taking these people who had never done comedy before, but were maybe celebrities or like the guy who shot Bin Laden, SEAL Team 6 guy, and then there was Chuck Liddell, who's a wrestler, and they were taking them and they were feeding them jokes through an earpiece.
It's hilarious.
They crashed our show. So it's still our show. So at some point I'd be like, hey guys, like, I'm not making this up. We got the guy who shot Bin Laden. It's not just some Craigslist hookup. This is the actual guy. And then he would come on stage and they would say it through an earpiece. And Jeffrey Ross and Whitney Cummings and David Spade are back there feeding them hilarious jokes. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And they had like some Real Housewives, and they had like some like a model. I can't remember her name, but she does like a Wendy's commercial or something. And they had like a dumb they wrote for the person. And some of the jokes they wrote were outrageous and inappropriate, and it was pretty funny. It was great. I mean, those were good shows, but his show isn't on anymore. It's like he's still very. I mean, he's working constantly, but that show had a couple of seasons. But oh well, it was cool. He's lovely.
Right.
Yeah.
You're talking about feeding jokes through an earpiece, and all I can think about is that scene from Fletch Lives in the in the giant church, where if you haven't seen it, anyways, there's a.
You could tell. I'm like,
But basically, everybody go back and watch Fletch Lives. It's a classic. Kind of.
Kind of ish, classic-ish.
Yeah. Not one of Chevy Chase's best, but pretty good.
We also want to let everybody know you want to get on Amazon Prime tonight, and you want to go check out Sally's comedy special, Sleazy Does It. So what was it like to make Sleazy Does It? The experience? Anything?
That was fun. I made Sleazy Does It for about $300. I think I put $5,000 budget on IMDb just to like be realistic and just to like not look like too sleazy. Although I should go back and change it. But basically, my really good friend David Connolly, he runs Theater of Arts. I should find out exactly how to say it, but he's a really amazing dude. He just sold a script himself and very talented in a comic. Yeah. So he let me do it there because I also teach some classes for him sometimes. So I'm like adjunct faculty. So I was able to use the theater free of charge. It's 100-seater. I put the tickets up on Eventbrite. The 3 guys who filmed it, they're all my buddies. We scratch each other's backs. All I had to do was buy some white wine. And I'm sorry, I bought like Trader Joe's $2 chuck, but I bought a lot of it, so much, and everybody could drink cougar juice, it was like cougar juice.
That sounds like an interesting energy drink.
It's like a 50-minute show, and then actually I'm getting it. It's up on IMDb now, and I'm adding the credits because a lot of people came and saw me, and then I had them interviewed, and I did that just to get my friends' credits on IMDb. What do you think of the show? Oh, Sally's a crazy hoe. Whatever. Credit as yourself. So that was cool. Now I'm in the process of getting everyone's names up on IMDb, which is a pain.
Will you admit you did my show?
Yeah, you guys were talking about your horrible jobs, and I could hear that, and it was really stressful. But working with IMDb and putting stuff up on there, you don't want to have to do that either.
Mm.
I won't make my new Marvel movie then.
Yeah, just get somebody to do it, like maybe off Fiverr, you know?
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
Sally, though, you have brought in so much, like, you've brought so much useful information to people that are either starting stand up or contemplating starting stand up. I mean, everything from doing mics repeatedly in order to obtain material, in order to keep it fresh so you don't get desensitized by your own material, and
Yeah.
having friends in the industry to help you, like, scratch your back. Like, she said, are you still teaching classes? Like, you need to.
No,
Go ahead.
I did used to be a pretty, I was a really appreciated theater teacher in Florida, and I used to teach children's theater, and I used to teach adults too, teens and up, you know, like little kids, no thanks, but, I did a lot of teaching, and then I just leave the comedy teaching. My best friend is Bobby Oliver. She's a terrific teacher. You know, I'm like, she's got that. But I do like doing seminars for her. And David Conley, who I mentioned, he teaches. Greg Dean. I mean, there's a lot of good comedy teachers in town. I like doing the occasional. I like doing things like this where I talk about it, though. It's pretty fun. And I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with studying comedy. Like people go, if you're funny, you're funny. No, I worked on Sleazy Does It with Bobby. She helped me with my timing. She helped me with my tags. So
Mm.
you're never too advanced to not at least go back to a writing coach, let alone take a class.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You know?
I got a quick question before we move on. Like, do you feel like there are more women in stand up now and greater opportunities than when you started? Like,
Yeah,
What- and-
definitely, I do.
what do you think that could be attributed to?
Well, good question about that. I think that we've been encouraged by other women might be part of it, and we have role models of women in politics as well as entertainment. But I will just say this. On my YouTube feed for the past couple of weeks, there have been a lot of hilarious younger women, I'd say age range 25 to 35, probably 35 tops, mainly like 30 years old. And they're on Comedy Central and they're doing extended sets and they're very funny, but that is the only demographic I'm seeing right now on Comedy Central. I mean, it's like, I think that they're kind of seeing like, okay, millennials for millennials, but it seems that the men who Tammy Pescatelli, I think it was, or was it Chelsea Peretti? I don't know, everyone gets those two mixed up, but they were tweeting about it today, and it seems that the men right now who have a lot of heat on them in comedy are like 40 and up. But the women who are being like pushed out front and center right now are way younger. And so I have to think it has to be men doing the casting.
Got it.
Yeah.
You know,
So I guess I did come into comedy at the right time at 41. Awesome.
you know, you're fine. You know, as what we have to do as women is we just have to produce more ourselves.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we have to create more shows because middle-aged white guys are not going to create shows to feature middle-aged white women or women of color or anything. They're going to find young women and then they're going to find dudes their age to populate them, you know? That's like people produce what they want, but also, and I'm not going off on white men. I love white men. I have sex with them all the time, you know? But you also have to look at other industries and trends in other industries as well. And a lot of young people, a lot of millennials and Gen Z, they love their older role models. And look at some of the comics of the past, like look at Louis Black. Louis Black's biggest fans were colleges. They
Mm.
think of him as like this crazy uncle or something. Like, don't just keep saying millennials are watching comedy. Let's give them their peers. Give them variety too,
Ah, yes.
and
Thank
It
you
give
does
for
them
make me wonder, though. I mean,
yeah.
is the male comic more receptible when you're less worried that he's going to try to hit on you? So that's why the older males are a little bit more, you know.
Oh, you mean like less intimidating kind of thing, or
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe it's because we're not as good looking as the guys that are getting in trouble right now.
not all the guys who are getting in
in
trouble.
trouble are very good looking. I agree. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not.
there's some people
Yeah,
that
like
got beaten with
Oh,
the ugly stick, you know.
you know,
oh, I must have a weird perception then. I'm not.
uh,
We're not going to expand on that.
Great, you're great.
but thank you for that insight, Sally, because it's you're because I'm watching a lot of Comedy Central, and you're right. I'm actually even seeing more comedians of color, but there's like this bracketed age group that I'm seeing as
Yeah.
well. You know, and I'm sensitive to it because you said you're class of '86, I'm class of '85, so I.
Oh God, you look so freaking young. You look amazing. Maybe they are giving me all the white women because I'm white. Like maybe that's the algorithm, you know?
Okay.
I'm not seeing people of color, but I am definitely seeing that age group. It's yeah,
Mm.
like 28 to 35. It's like the millennial demographic, but millennials like all kinds of stuff. I mean, a lot of hipsters, you know. I mean, they like way older. So I
Sally,
do think just like look at any Hollywood rom-com. The dude is like 50 and the woman is about 30 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
And they
Like
never address that. They never address that. This is just a happy, functional married couple, you know?
Well, that's because that's the male side of the fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's the point. Like, but that's the point. Like, why is it never addressed? As Good as It Gets is still one of my favorite, but I never did understand Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, and Helen Hunt. Thank you, she got the Oscar for that. But I'm just like, who matched that? Like, what?
Yeah, how did that never get explained? And Dan, I think that that's true. It's the male side of the fantasy, but I think that the male producers and directors are picking a lot of
Oh
younger
yeah.
women to do comedy. But you know what? They're funny and we all need our chances. But I think that as older women, we have got to write some stuff for ourselves and produce some stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
Sally, you're right though, and I've noticed it, and I've come across a lot of all these young, beautiful females are like are influencers, or they're like Vine stars or TikTok stars that they're getting their feet wet with comedy.
Oh,
But the
yes.
reality is, it's not that funny, but they're gorgeous and they're appealing, so they have a bigger fan base. So it's like you're seeing these women get ahead because they're very pretty. They're not there to be funny in reality. They're there in order to bring in all these men that usually, I see it completely.
And some of them, Stacy, are purposely filming themselves getting their feet wet. Yes.
Ha 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 ha. It's
So,
money,
Yeah,
you know?
this is true. This is true.
I just think that now more than ever, it's like some people still have the old Hollywood concept of I'm going to get discovered while I'm working in the greeting card store or something. And we have to write for our age group, write
Right.
for our experience, write from our experiences and get that stuff out there because it's not gonna, you can't leave it to others.
Right.
I think that's the joke that I've heard the most with new young female comedians, that they're like, yeah, so one day I hope that I walk into a Starbucks and Steven Spielberg will be there and they will discover me and I will get famous. Like literally, I think I've heard that joke by multiple women in the past 3 years, like over 100 times.
Wow.
It's not happening that way anymore. And I like it. I like that you can create your own content like what you guys are doing and write stuff for yourself. I mean, that to me is what stand-up's all about. It's your story. It's personal. When you're doing it right, it's coming from your unique point of view.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Definitely.
important to write. You know, I mean, a lot of comics when they start out, it's almost like they're doing their impersonation of a comic. You know, like
Right.
that's what you're seeing. Like you feel that lack of originality, or they're like, "Huh, what's trending? What do people want to hear about?" It can't be that. It's got to be what you want to talk about.
Hi, everybody. Do you want to hear my Mile High Club joke? I've got a great one.
But I will say this, Sally, like I think when anybody is new, then any of us on a psychological level are a sum total of whatever we've seen, witnessed, or heard. So I think with
Yeah,
comics, I feel it myself, like there's an on ramp. And you obviously you don't want to copy anybody because you're not that person. And I think in an honest place, you're not that person. But I have like sounded myself out, and I'm just like, you sound like so and so, but it wasn't that I didn't set out to see like I want to
right.
copy this person, but it's
Yeah.
just that we're some total of whatever we take in.
I respect that. Like I said, I didn't grow up watching or liking stand up at all. So I had no idea, but I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and plus, if you copy someone, Joe Rogan's just gonna punk you on stage one day. So
Right.
Hey,
But it's
man.
just like it's an on ramp. I think it's an on ramp, like
Yeah,
for
I do
anybody.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But reality,
Spinning wheels.
Sally, that you expressing your truth, the way that you go on every day is hilarious. That's why I loved your special. You were just so honest and open, and I don't know. I have to give it up to you because you are honestly one of the comics that I really love watching.
Oh, thanks.
You're like, I don't care. This is who I am, and that's what makes it so great. I hate people that bring in this persona on stage and just bring in topical humor just because it seems relevant. You're like, this is me, and that in itself, your
Awesome.
situations you put yourself in, or the things that you do. I love it. I love it.
I think
well,
that's
I'm throwing away my COVID jokes now.
COVID jokes are great.
Hey,
No,
man, they're not
COVID jokes
expired
are
yet.
great. It's not about subject matter to me. It's about how you see it. You know,
Right.
you can talk about what people think is hack, traffic, airline food, whatever, online dating. People go, "Oh, that's hack," but not if it's your own personal experience and point of view.
Exactly. I'm saying in all the comedy classes, the one thing I'm learning across the board is you have to have a point of view, and you spend your time like learning who you are, really learning your point of view, and then honing in on your own voice. But as long as you have a point of view, that's what makes the COVID joke still something engaging and interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's all it is. It's your point of view about COVID. Yeah, or it's really interesting, and you can't expect to develop it within 1 or 2 years. It takes like several years at least.
Mm-hmm.
And but you can be funny. You can be funny before you really find your voice. You can be killing it. You can be getting laughs. Lynn, never really.
Right.
I'm so annoying around the house. Please, real asshole in real life. But glow.
Yes.
Virtual love, there's got to be a service for that comes with a vacuum. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so
Glow has a great comment. She said, "Life is a stage, and comedy the main character, tragedy its writer." Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
a
your
lot
very
of
powerful.
comes from
your
that.
truth is best.
Mhm.
I think most of my jokes that have done really well are just everything that I've gone through that it comes to the point where the stage is therapeutic because you're like, this is who I am. I like myself. You don't like me, it's all good. But then you have all these people laughing and they love it. And you're like, yes, thank you, thank you.
That's what it's all about. It's all about going out there and making people understand your point of view and
Yes.
love you for it.
Yeah, one of the instructors I watched, he actually helped this nice lady. He wanted to help her brush up or give her some guidance and go through her material. And after he watched her tape, he's like, "Why do you need me? You're already really good." He couldn't understand then why she needed help. But the thing that really fascinated me is he asked her, "So what did you do to get this good, and how long have you been doing it?" And then, her answer was just really like, wow, that's, almost like Chappelle's answer, actually. Very similar. But, she said she does, what is it, 14 open mics a week. And she did that for 2 years straight.
Getting in your hours quick. I mean,
Yeah.
geez.
I mean, how else would you do it if you're not grinding it? I don't know how else
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can fast track. You can fast track. If you're going to do that many a week, you can accomplish stuff faster.
But isn't it crazy that we can be good, but we ourselves are perfectionists and we still doubt ourselves and we're like, is it good enough though? And that's why I'm thankful for classes, and that's why I still take classes repeatedly, comedy and all sorts, because it's like, okay, I'm good, but I always feel I can be better. And you mentioned it that are you still actively taking classes, or right now you're just like every now and then?
I do mics. I mean, I've done a bunch of mics and shows with Dat Fan. He's another one in class, and he's teaching. No, you should always be trying to get better. Comedy is the only thing in my life that's never bored me, and I'm always learning from it all the fucking time. So
that's cool.
That's never going to change. Yeah. No, you should never be completely happy with where you're at, but give yourself a break, give yourself a pat on the back. This is a tough, so a lot of people would never do this. I know that I don't feel brave because I feel like it's fun. But, no, you're always growing and you're always learning. It's okay to be hard on yourself, but you know what? You do have to just get up and do it again the next night, because that'll get that feeling out. Just get back on the horse as soon as you can,
Yeah, I mean, the only time I'm scared public speaking is if I need to really find a job and there's a job interview. That's the only time.
I love those. I can do those all the time, and I don't want a job, but I'm like, I'll do it.
No, so that's when it's good, is when you don't need the job because you can screw with them during the interview. It's really awesome. You just ask them silly questions like, does the break room have a ping pong table? Oh, that's a bummer, man. That's going to take some points off.
So oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, that's the weirdest thing about, myself is I'll get butterflies before I go on stage or when I'm going to have a big audience or anything like that. But if it's direct one-on-one contact with a person I just met, that's where I'm like freaking out. I can't do direct eye contact. I can't look at you in the eyes. It's just like, that's so
a lot of comedians are introverted. I mean, a lot of us are introverted and we need the time in our own heads kind of thing. I mean, a lot of us are just like that. But you were asking about it wasn't about self-doubt. Yeah, that never goes away. Nerves never go away. They just become maybe more manageable, or it's more like just excitement now. But like, I don't like going to the Comedy Store because until I get on stage, I'm kind of like, everyone's, hi, what have you been up to? Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. And the last thing I want to do is small talk. So it's really like those nerves and that self-doubt, they never go away. And I know comics that are higher level than me and have been in the game 10 more years than I have, and they say the same thing. So just accept it. Like, some days you're just going to feel overwhelmed, depressed. I mean, you have to accept it.
But, Stacey, it's funny you mention eye contact, though, because there's times where I really love eye contact. We have these really long hallways at work. And so I'm the guy that from far away is already waving at you and just staring at you the whole time I'm walking up. Because it's funny. I work with engineers, so they're like, what the hell is going on? And it's just, it's a good way to break the ice and make sure you eat lunch alone if you need to. So
I do this weird thing, though. Okay. So sometimes I'm going to force myself into eye contact, so I'll stare at something. I will stare at something forcefully just to make it look like I'm looking at you and I'm paying attention to you. And I didn't realize this, but apparently my eye likes to wander off. So I'll have one eye looking out the other direction and I'll look straight forward.
You're just multitasking. It's okay.
Okay, if anybody has kids, please make sure that you teach them how to do eye contact, because apparently this is what happens. Your eye just wanders off while you're pretending to actually focus on a person, and you come off as cross-eyed. You
That one
become
eye is
Gwyneth
just
Paltrow's child.
that one eye is just bored. That's all. It's just like, nah, man, I ain't having it. But we want to thank Sally for stopping in and hanging out with us and
Woo!
Yeah.
talking with us.
You guys are a really good bunch of people, and you're all funny. I'll see you at the Zoom shows. Everybody doing Zoom shows?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I
Oh
got a
yes.
show tomorrow, Jokes from Home with Mayor. I got a show next Friday, back with Kezia. Friday Night Funnies next
The
Friday.
21st?
Yes.
I'm hosting that one. Cool.
Awesome.
Yes. So make sure to go watch Sleazy Does It on
Yes.
Amazon Prime,
Thank you.
and make sure you let her know how much you love it.
Yeah, I couldn't even put my eyeliner on. I was like laughing in between, and I had to ensure that it did not end up up here. I had to pause her video. It was funny, okay?
that makes me
So
feel
watch
good.
it.
Oh,
You don't need makeup anyway.
Everybody's sending you love too, Sally. Just Lynn's
here,
son.
I'll-
Everybody's
Thank you guys.
hello.
oh, and one other thing, Sally, your Southern California Edison bit was just beautiful. I love that bit so much.
Oh, wait, the Department of Water and Power?
Yeah, that. Sorry, I got it wrong. But what you do there, it's so awesome. What you
Whatever.
did.
No, that's cool. I'll be at Bobby's Mic on Sunday, I think. I think I'll be back there again, you know? Yeah.
Oh yes.
Cool.
So
All
let's
right,
give an
guys.
applause for Sally. Thank you so much.
Thank
Love
you.
You guys are so nice. Sorry if I get kind of intense. Comedy's like the love of my life. That's why I'm back. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Yeah.